נעשה אדם בצלמנו כדמותנו וירדו בדגת הים ובעוף השמיים ובבהמה ובכל הארץ ובכל הרמס הרומס על הארץ. So it's telling you that HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, let's make man, right? So now the interesting thing is that when it comes to the other things that he made, it doesn't say that. It doesn't say that let's make man. Like, who are you talking to here? Like, who's your friends that you're telling me let's? Over here it says let's make. So the question is, why is he talking this language? So there's a few things that can happen here, You can say that, if a person who's a kofar, who's an apikoros, who's a denier, he can say, listen, since it says let's make, there must be also other gods over there, some partners over there. Mm-hmm. You can say that.
Absolutely.
So there's room over here to make a mistake, to err, and therefore, afterwards, in the next pasuk, he wants to take out this from your heart. He wants to remove this from your heart. Because the next pasuk says, Vayivra Elohim et Adam. So meaning what? Only one God there, right? Yeah. So first it says, Naseh, and then it says, Vayivra Elohim, there was only one God. So the question is, how did that happen? So the answer is that over here they say, right, as I think you mentioned this already before, a few weeks ago, a couple weeks ago, that this was like the anava, this was the humility of God. That he wanted to say that, even though really I do it, but I'm now taking counsel with my court, with my helpers, my angels, as if they're helping me or I need their advice or whatever. He doesn't really need their advice. But it's teaching you, right, to be anav, to be humble. So this is like what a person should do also in his family, the man is the leader of the family. But he should, speak to his wife like that also. He should say, listen, what do you think about this? What do you think about that? He shouldn't say, okay, no, we're doing this, we're doing that. And what about me? You don't care what I think? So, okay, you're the leader, that's true, but you should also, take the opinion of others. So it's coming to teach you humility, Also the same thing when it comes to government, right? When it comes to government, there's a president, there's a king. But he also take counsel from the counselors. You'd be surprised, how many counselors do these kings have, these presidents and all these people? They have like thousands of them. There's a counselor for this, there's an advisor for that, advisor for each topic. There's a sub-advisor, the assistant advisor, for every, the issue that there is in the government. So meaning what? That the whole issue of running, or being a boss, or being a leader, is that you take advice all the time. You never do things on your own. HaKadosh Baruch Hu didn't need it to take advice. And he did, to show you that you're not like me, so you better take advice from people. Don't think you know everything, because nobody knows everything. Nobody knows that how everything runs in this world. So therefore a person has to take advice. He has to be humble. But when it comes to real life though, it's not just a humility, it's a real need. There's a real need for that. So because of that, he's teaching you this idea. Now he's saying also something interesting, right? That we're making Adam betzalmenu kidmutenu. So it's using two words over there, if you notice, that really they seem to be saying the same thing. Right? Ketzalmenu means it looks like us. Kidmutenu also means looks like us. So why do I need two words to tell me the same thing? That's the question, right? So the answer is that one is talking about the appearance and one is talking about his character, right? So Rashi says over here, he mentions like this. He says, Kitzalmenu kidmutenu. He says, Kidmutenu, the first Kitzalmenu, he says, Bitfush shelanu, that he should look like us. And Kidmutenu, he says, it means Lehavim laskil. What does that mean? The Kidmutenu is coming for a different reason. The first one is coming for the appearance. The second one is coming to tell you that also he has the reasoning and intellect like God. Godly intellect and reasoning. So this is the difference between the animals and the human beings. Because the animals also know how to live their life. They know what they need. They know what they need to live. They know what they need to function. They know what they need to do to reproduce. Everything, the instinct tells them what to do. And they know to run away from something which is dangerous. They feel the danger. They run away. All these things they know. So that doesn't differentiate us from the animals. So what does? It's the reasoning and intellect. What does that mean? That we can deduce and we can rationalize and we can philosophize, right? All these things. Animals cannot do these things, and they don't care about to do these things. They're not capable of it. They have nothing. There's no share in that. So this is something which is only really in the realm of the human. It's not something which is any other animal can do these things. It's not there. Okay, so that's the difference between the man and the animals. Also, it says over here, right? Ve'yirdu bidgat hayam u'of hashamayim u'babehema. So it's coming and telling you that the human being is going to rule over all the creation.
It says here.
Right. Right. Whether it's the animals, right? Ve'yirdu, right? Ve'yirdu means that they should rule over them. How does it translate over there? How does it say? In English?
They shall rule over the fish of the sea, the birds, the sky, and over the
right. So exactly. So
and everything creeping.
Right. All the creeping things, all the animals, right? All the creeping stuff, everything. So he's telling you that what? That the man is a pinnacle creation.
Things, meaning the bugs and
right. The caterpillars and all that stuff. So it's coming and telling you that the human being is ruling over all that. It's the boss of the whole world. But say the Chazal that this word, right, ve'irdu, has two meanings really, right? So what's the trick? The trick is that really there's other words to describe ruling in Hebrew. You know, there's limshol, right? Limshol, moshel, right? There's sholet. So why didn't use those words and use this word, which is like something unusual, you know, which is not usually seen in this kind of context? So comes the Chazal, right, and say that it's coming to teach you something, that it has two meanings. It's a dual meaning word. It has a dual meaning. This word. One could be that you rule over, right, and the other one is that yardu, right, which is similar. You're going down, right. So yardu means to go down. Yarad means to go down. Irdu, right. So that's what I'm saying. Irdu means to rule. Yardu means to go down. It's the same root. It's the same root. So therefore, it's going to teach you that if the man is a tzaddik, so then he's yirdu, he's ruling over the world. But if he's a rasha, so then the world is ruling over him. That means that what? That the animals, when a person is a rasha, the animals are not afraid of him. They come and attack him. That's what happens. They see him as another animal, because they don't see the image of God. So meaning what? That the whole point over here is that when it says, right, that he made them in the image of God, that's only conditional that if he does the will of God.
Now, when it says in the image of God, he doesn't mean physically.
Both, right? Because we said there's two words here, right? Bet salmenu kidmutenu. So it's coming to cover both bases, telling you that also it's the appearance, and also it's the reasoning, as we said, right? The intellect. But now we're coming and saying that this is conditional.
I understand, but if it says physically also, that means we look like God.
Right, meaning what? That when you look at the face of a man, you see the face of, you know, the appearance, the image of God there. Yes, that's what it means, right? He looks human. He looks dignified. He looks, merciful, like God. You know, he has that appearance of a higher being. That's exactly what he's trying to say. They have these stories. There's a lot of stories and there's a lot of issues regarding this. That they say that when we say that the animals are afraid of human beings, they're afraid of them because they see the image of God there. So it says, right, that it only applies when there's two of them. Meaning what? When you have two people walking together, so then any animal is afraid to approach them. You know, because it says ve'irdu, plural, right? So if it's two people, the animal is afraid. If it's one, sometimes it's not afraid. It will attack. It will attack the human being. So it's always safer to go in numbers than it is to go by yourself. Especially when you're going in a dark place at night, whatever, something which is isolated. So over there, the numbers, it's what protects you. So here, it's coming to teach you that. Also, it's coming to tell you, right, there's the stories also that really we're talking about the average person. But if a person is a real tzaddik, so then even one, they're afraid of, right? There's all these kinds of stories like this brought down, that, in Morocco, there was big tzaddikim over there that lived there, but these babas, these very, very holy people. So these babas were very holy, and what happened was that one of them, it says, right, there's a story that he got lost somewhere in the forest. One day he was walking, got lost, and he saw a lion over there, So he didn't know how to get home. The lion is over there scaring him, so he doesn't know what to do. So comes the lion, and instead of, eating him for lunch, what does he do? He kneels down for him to sit on top of him. So he sat on top of the lion, and the lion took him back to the city. Not only he let him ride on him, but he took him back to where he was looking for. So right, gave him protection. So we see from there that if a person is a tzaddik, if he's zocheh, so then he's yirdu. That means he rules. But if it's not zocheh, yardu, it goes down, and the animals rule over him. This is the way it is. So this is one of the basic ideas of creation, right? By us, it depends on, how your merit, who you are and what you did in your life, what your deeds are. Okay, so let's go on. So then he says, "Vayivra Elohim et Adam b'tzalmo b'tzelem Elohim bara oto, zachar u'nkeva bara otam." So the Chazal say, right, that this was now an interesting thing, that originally, why it's using here double entendre here. You see, in other words, it's female, male, and female, or it's one, two. In the beginning, it sounds like it's one person, then it sounds like it's two. So which one is it? How does it reconcile? So the answer is that in the beginning, HaKadosh Baruch Hu created the man as one. That means that it was the male and female was one body, right? So how was it? In the front, the face of the man was in the front. In the back was the face of the girl, of the lady. So when he was walking, the lady was like in the back of him, like this. So what happened was, then HaKadosh Baruch Hu realized that this is not, and I don't know if he realized, he always knew that, but what I'm saying is that he decided to make a surgery and separate them and bring the woman for him to marry. Because, Ezer Kenegdo, you need somebody in this world to help you, to be your helper. So he cut took off the side of the man, the rib, whatever they call it, right? Some say it was a side, some say it was a rib. Whatever it is, doesn't make any difference. The point is, they took off that piece and made it into the woman, right? That's how it was.
Took off the rib, the whole face.
Right, that whole surgery was done. Right. Exactly. At that time, HaKadosh Baruch Hu put him to sleep. It was like an anesthesia. It did on him, because otherwise it hurts very much. When you do this surgery, so he did an anesthesia. He said tardema is a deep sleep, which is like anesthesia kind of thing. So he did that, and he divided him into two. Right. So the thing is now, the Chazal makes some interesting drashot over here. Some things about this. There's a midrash that says something really interesting. That what's the reason why Kadosh Baruch Hu made the woman from the rib or the side of the man? Why didn't he make him from the nose or the hands or the ears or the eyes or the feet or whatever? Why was particularly that piece? So it says, right, that he wanted to make the woman with a certain characteristic. He was afraid that the female was going to get certain bad characteristics if he made him from the wrong parts. So therefore, he wanted to make him from a characteristic that was good. So he made him from an inner organ, something which is inside. What's the reason? So it says, right, that if he would have made the woman from the hand, so she would have been a thief, stealing. If she would have made him from the foot, so she would have been yatzanit, that means like outgoing girl, all the time in the street, going out to clubs, going out to discotheques, going out to, never sitting at home, right? If she would have made him from the ears, so she would have been an eavesdropper, always listening to people, what are they saying, all these things. If she would have made him from the eyes, she would have been like, somebody who always looking for other, a spy, like spying out things, looking for this, what are they doing, what is this person doing, like a nosy kind of person, you know what I mean? Always looking to find out what the other people are doing. All these things, this is why he wanted, so he didn't want to make him from all these areas. Why? Because these areas have like a bad connotation, a bad characteristic, that they tend to have a certain, certain concentration of, so he wanted to make it from the inner organ. Yeah, I'm sorry, go ahead.
The Rashi said, he created man with his own hands.
Right. Figuratively speaking, right? It doesn't mean the hands, right? Figuratively.
It's not like he took sand or ashes or whatever.
Because God doesn't have hands, you understand? So, right. So it means that he said so, and he,
And he
it happened.
Mold him.
No, he didn't. It didn't mold because he doesn't have the hands to mold. That's not the way it works.
So he just said the word, and the man.
Right, it happened. Right. But what it means is that he thought. In other words, his thought pattern was there to mold him in a certain way, to make him a certain shape, to make him a certain size, whatever it is. All these things. You know what I mean? So this is figurative when it says hands.
So at the same simultaneously, why couldn't he mold a woman?
He did, because when he did the surgery, it was him who did it, right? He did the surgery, yeah. So it wasn't some doctor from NYU Medical Center.
No.
You know what I mean? So
he made one, and then he
cut it up.
Why couldn't he make two of them at the same time instead of cutting?
because it seems like there was some kind of a benefit to having them together in the beginning. You know what I mean? There must have been some kind of benefit for that. He wanted to start out together, but then it says later on, right, that it's no good that the man should be alone, right? So I'm going to make him ezer kenegdo. What does that mean? That if he's one body, he's alone. He's a loner, and it's not nice to live life alone. A person needs a partner. So, okay, so you can say, listen, my wife is behind me in the back over here. That's you. What wife? You don't have a wife, But now he's cutting you into two pieces. Now you have some partner. You have somebody, right? Ezer kenegdo. So the Chazal say, getting back to what we were saying, just want to finish that thought, that say the Chazal that even though the HaKadosh Baruch Hu made her from an inner organ, in order to avoid all these problems that we just mentioned, right? It shouldn't be this, it shouldn't be this, it shouldn't be this. It didn't work, it says, right? In other words, it failed, this experiment. So meaning what? She came out with all those things. You understand? So in other words, even though he wanted to make it as good as possible, but in the end, it came out with all those things. What does that mean? So it brings examples, right, in the Torah, where we see really that even our mothers, the mothers of the Jewish people, our matriarchs, who are very righteous women, they had all these traits. What does that mean? Right? We see that Rachel Imenu, right? She stole the idols of her father, Terafim, of Lavan. So she was a thief, you see, even though she did it L'Shem Shamayim, she did it for a good reason. But anyway, she stole, right? And they bring examples like that from all the mothers that we had. Also Leah, right? Leah, it says about her that when she went out to greet Yaakov Avinu, that he came home from the field, so she went out to greet him. So what does that mean? She was yatsanit, outgoing, like she liked to go out. So we see from there that all those things that HaKadosh Baruch Hu wanted to prevent from the woman, it didn't work, and it came out that they have all those traits. So says the Midrash, but this is only with the righteous woman we're talking about, not the wicked ones. The righteous ones have all these traits that we just mentioned. So meaning what? That even a righteous woman is going to have these things, somewhat, even though they may be using it for good purposes sometimes, whatever it is, but they have those traits, nevertheless. So it says, but what about the wicked woman, So that's much, much worse. Oh, that's something else. Right. So then, it's not just these traits that we talked about, which are, relatively minor. Why? Because all these things that we're saying, they're not such bad things, these things were actually good things that they did, but they had the traits anyway. But regarding the wicked woman, right, it brings who? Potiphar, right, the wife of Potiphar, who was, the one who was chasing after Yosef HaTzadik, trying to seduce him, So we see from there that what? That the wicked woman, what is she? She's a zonah, that's what they are. The wicked woman, they're all the same, like in this category. So the righteous women have these things that we talked about, but the wicked is much, much worse, right? So meaning what? You see from there that what the Gaon Vilna says. Gaon Vilna says something amazing. He says, he brings it from the Zohar. He says that the women are closer to the Yetzer Hara than the man. It's their nature. In other words, the Kadosh Baruch Hu created them in a way that they have some characteristics which is closer to the Yetzer Hara. So what does that mean? That means that a woman's challenge in this world is greater than the man's. Because the man is closer to Yetzer Hara Tov, but the woman is more closer to the Yetzer Hara. And that's why, there's all these things, these fables about the women, being very wicked and, from the devil and all these things, and right, exactly, all these things. Why is that? Because the Yetzer Hara is more associated with the woman than the man. And that's the way it is, truthfully. But on the other hand, even though the woman is closer to the Yetzer Hara, hi, please come in. Even though the woman is closer to the Yetzer Hara, No, nobody's here. Nobody's here. You came too late. You got to come at 6 o'clock. Okay? Thank you. Yeah. So, as we said, right, even though the women are closer to the Yetzer Hara, and therefore they have these traits, but nevertheless, in Olam Haba, they get more reward than the men. You know? Right, exactly. They overcame the Yetzer Hara, which they're closer to, so therefore over there, they're going to get more reward than us, because their challenge was greater, obviously, right? That's the way it is. And by the way, this is exactly the point with Baal Tshuva, right? A person who's a Baal Tshuva, that means that he wasn't religious, now became religious. So his reward is greater, because he has to go against the grain, how he used to living. The way he used to live, and now he has to go overcome that. So Kadosh Baruch Hu says, listen, if you overcame all that, and you're a good boy, and not only that, but you love doing it also, you love it also, you grow to love it as well. So then I give you more reward than anybody else. That's the way it is. So that's what the Talmud says, right? That the Balei Tshuva are on a higher level than one who's a tzaddik. What does that mean? That since they had to overcome the Yetzer Hara, so Kadosh Baruch Hu puts them on a higher plateau. In this world and also the next world. Unbelievable. Also in this world.
Makes sense. It's logical.
Yeah. So explains the Zohar, right? That means that there's according to the Kabbalah, there's 10 sfirot, right? There's 10 qualities that the world is run with. It's called sfirot, right? So there's different levels that a person can get from there, his qualities from the creation. So it says over there in the Zohar that the Baal Tshuva is on a higher sfira than the tzaddik. So we see from there exactly what we're saying. So getting back to what we were saying, so Kadosh Baruch Hu created the woman, right? And it came out the way it came out, So, by the way, that also teaches you another thing. That it teaches you that a man has to be forgiving with his wife. Why? Because since the wife is closer to the Yetzer Hara, he cannot treat his wife like he would his friend. He has to be more forgiving, That means that if you see your wife doing something, which is not exactly, the most pleasant thing to see, so you have to understand that, that's her nature sometimes. You have to be more forgiving. So that's why, when you go to the dating world, right, if you see, what does a woman want, what is she looking for? If you look in the category, what am I looking for? They always say, right, somebody who can tolerate me, who can handle me. The woman says, what does it mean tolerate, handle me? It means that she can tolerate my nature, She shouldn't, he shouldn't be judging me so strictly, I'm a man. I'm not a man, I'm a woman, you gotta know who you're dealing with. So, you have to, a person has to be forgiving. They say the Chazal, it's an amazing thing they say, right? That the blessing of the family comes from the woman. She's the source of the blessing for the family. So how is that realized? That a person has to honor his wife, He has to buy her stuff also, This we know, the Georgians, we know very well these things. We're good at that. But he also has to honor her, right, through how he speaks to her, how he, behaves with her. Not to insult, not to say harsh words, because women are very sensitive. Once they hear harsh words, they run. They run off, Either they run in their heart or they run with their feet, whatever it is, they run. So that you have to be careful, they're very sensitive. So a person has to honor his wife, and when he does honor his wife, so then the blessing comes from there. It comes through that vehicle. That's the vehicle of the blessing of the house. So what does that mean? That if a person can forgive his wife for her imperfections and still honor her, even though she may not, quote unquote, deserve it so much, let's say, whatever. But he honors her because, she's a righteous woman. And she's the source of the blessing in the house, and the house, stands on her shoulders. Without a woman, a house is worth nothing, not worth anything, right? She is the house. The children are being raised by her. Everything is being done by her. Everything is, without that, the house doesn't function. So what does that mean? They say the Chazal that if a man can be forgiving with his wife and forgive her for her imperfections, what HaKadosh Baruch Hu does, that he forgives that person for all his sins. He says, if you can forgive and be humble and not criticize, so I also forgive you. Just like you forgave her, I forgive you.
Makes sense.
So now, that's very fair. You know why that's very fair? Because when HaKadosh Baruch Hu looks at us, when Hashem looks at us, He sees us like we see the woman, not so perfect, We're also not so perfect, you know what I mean? So it's like the relationship between the man and his wife resembles the relationship between God and the man, So we're like his wife, in a sense, right? In that sense. So if he can forgive, if we can forgive our wives, HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, listen, I also forgive you, no problem, Since that's the way you are, that's the way I'm going to be with you also. But if you're going to be very strict with your wife, everything, every little thing, oh, she took some money here, this, whatever, she did this, and she burnt the food, or she didn't clean the house one day, or something happened, whatever. All these things, a person can make a big deal out of these things. So if a person is forgiving, they say he's humble, and he forgives, so HaKadosh Baruch Hu blesses him, he forgives him, and also gives him wealth and lots of blessing, because of that. So, Usually that's what you find, that the men who have like the real blessing in life are the ones who honor their wives. And the ones who, they abuse their wives, Dachagra sin. They're the ones who are suffering the most. Usually that's the way it is. Yeah. There's also exceptions in this world, but usually that's what you find. So, any questions, by the way? Okay, go ahead. So let's go on. So also, right, the Chazal say something amazing, right? Which is that what? That since it says over here that the Kadosh Baruch Hu wants to give the man his wife, as you said, right? Why did he have to cut? That was the question, right? Why? Right, exactly. So we said, right? He wanted to give the man ezer kenegdo. That's what it says, right? This language over here in the Chumash, ezer kenegdo. So what does it mean, ezer kenegdo? It means ezer means a helper. Kenegdo means against. So according to the simple meaning, that means, right? She's a helper who's standing like next to him, besides him, right? She's a helper who's beside. So what we're saying is that it's a helper who's besides you. That's a simple way of understanding it. But according to the more deeper, understanding the drash, ezer kenegdo, what does that mean? That if he's zocheh, if he's worthy, zacha, ezer, then she's a helper. Right? Lo zacha, right? Kenegdo, right? Larif, right? So it means that she goes out to fight with him. So meaning what? That if you see a person, if a person sees himself, that his wife is always, against him, that means that he's not zocheh, he wasn't worthy to have a wife who's helping him so much. Because he has to reprove himself. You know what I mean? That's the idea. So meaning what? That we see that it's the same relationship between the creation and the man and the animals, that we say, right? If he's zocheh, if he has a merit, so the animals, he rules over them. Same thing in the house also, right? If he's zocheh, right, the wife listens to him and she does what he wants. But if he's not zocheh, so then all of a sudden, all the time she's fighting with him, giving him a headache. That's the way it is. So it's coming to tell you, right, that you have to be, you got to improve yourself. Okay.
Patient.
Yeah, yes. Okay, let's go on. So then it says,
God bless them.
ויאמר אלוהים הנה נתתי לכם את כל עשב זורע הזרע אשר על פני כל הארץ ואת כל העץ אשר בו פרי עץ זורע הזרע לכם יהיה לאוכלה. This is pasuk chaptet, right? 29. So he's telling you what? The Kadosh Baruch Hu says, listen, I put you in this world. Now I have to give you something to eat, right? You got to eat. So it's giving you all the plants and herbage, right, to eat, the fruits. This is what I give you, it says, right? Coming to exclude what? That I don't allow you to eat meat. This was not allowed. Right? This was not allowed. So the permission to eat meat was not given at this time, as we mentioned before.
It's for food.
Right. So meaning what? That it was only allowed to eat meat in the generation of Noach. That's when the permission was given. After they left the ark, then they were allowed to eat meat. But at this point, they're all vegetarians, right? All vegans. What do they call it? Vegan, whatever they call it. Okay, that's what it means. ולכל חיית הארץ ולכל עוף השמיים ולכל עוף בשר הארץ אשר בו נפש חיה את כל אלה כעשב ולאכולה ויהי כן. So it says in pasuk lamed that also the animals are allowed to eat the herbage as well. So the herbage is for the humans and it's also for the animals, right? Each one has its own thing, right? The animals like the grass, they like the leaves, and the men like the fruit, right? Whatever, each one has his own herbage, right? But the whole point is that it all comes from the ground. It's all vegetarian stuff. By the way, now the thing is that the question comes up: why did HaKadosh Baruch Hu create the man on the last day? That seems like be some kind of insult, I'm the last on your list, you can't. Sunday you went here, Monday you went there, Tuesday, on last day of the week, Friday, and then you came to me, well, what did I do so bad that you came to me like that? What's the reason why you created me on the last day of the week? So the answer is that on Shabbat he didn't create, right? So Shabbat, really the last day of the week is Shabbat, but on Shabbat he rested. So the last day of the week for creation was Friday. So the answer is, they say the Chazal, that it's coming to make the man humble, to humble him. What does that mean? It's telling you that even though I created you to rule over the world, it says in the pasuk, right? But if you sin, if you're not a good boy, so then you should know, right? You were created last. What does that mean? That when you're a sinner and you're not righteous, so you're even lower than the animals. In other words, you're considered to be like the lowest thing of creation. You're the lowest aspect of creation. By the way, you can see this in nature as well. Why is that? Because the human beings are not as strong as the other animals. They're not as durable. They don't have such a good digestive system. We have to eat much more in order to get nutrition than the other ones do. They eat like just plants and they're much stronger than we are. So meaning what? That if you really look at our nature, our physical nature, we're like the worst of the animals. They're all better than us. They're all faster than us, stronger than everything. Exactly. So when it comes to our physical nature, when it comes to our physical being, we're not really anything special. We're not really anything to look up to. We're like really on the pits. So when it comes to our body, our physical nature, we're not something special. It's only our soul, that's the highest thing. So meaning what? Like Kadosh Baruch Hu, when He created the world, He said, "Listen, now I'm going to create something which includes the lower world, the body, and the higher world, which is the soul." Right? We're the only creation in the world that has that dual, nature. All the others are either low or high. The angels are up there, right? They're the spiritual, and we're down here, right, with the animals, and the animals are physical. But the human being has both those characteristics. So meaning what? That if you go towards the soul, if you go with the soul, and you become righteous, you become spiritual, so then you're the pinnacle of creation, You're created to rule over the world. But if you go with your body, the physical, so then you're the worst, the pits. That's why He was created on the Yom Shishi, the sixth day, to teach you that He's really, physically, He's nothing special, and He's the worst out of all. By the way, this is corroborated, what they say recently. They say that they checked the DNA, of animals, So they found that the DNA of the mouse and the human is the closest. In other words, the mouse is like, the lowest creation, and we're like them, we're close to them. So you can imagine. By the way, we do more damage than the mice do. You can live in Manhattan, you can see what happened over there today. So you understand, we're bigger troublemakers than they are. The mice are relatively safe compared to what we are. It says in the Gemara that the mice have a bad nature, right? They're bad animals, because number one, they steal. They come into our apartments, our houses, they steal our food, they see whatever's dropped on the floor, or they go up here, they go up there, they creep into this, creep into that, they get everywhere, So they're like thieves, they like to steal, they have a bad nature. But the Gemara says, not only that, there's something else. The Gemara says that, how you see a mouse is a bad animal? That when it goes groping around in your house, right, going around, if it doesn't see anything to eat, you know what it does? It starts chewing on things, just to damage. So meaning what? He likes to do damage, even though he has nothing to gain from that. He's not gaining anything. So mouse he's a bad boy. You understand? So you see over there in Manhattan, they're also bad boys. These guys over there, these terrorists over there. You see, that's how they are. That's human nature. So meaning what? When you become a low life like they are, these people who have no sanctity for life, no respect for life, no respect for human dignity, nothing. They just want to kill and die. That's all they care about. These dark people, these faithless people. They call themselves God and Allah, but they believe in no God. They have no God. They have no nothing. These people, they're the biggest cowards that there is in the world. So these people, they're like a mouse, In other words, listen, what do you gain from this that you kill these people? Like what's there for you gain? I understand if you're going to a war, so you're going to a war, okay, fine. You have to kill the people or to conquer the country, Okay, so then you have a reason to do it, But why do you kill these people? What do you have to gain from that?
Innocent.
There's nothing, there's just nothing to gain. And you kill yourself too, So they kill them, they kill themselves. And so this is like, it's worse than a mouse. That's what I'm trying to tell you. Okay.
No, you mentioned that the man was created to last.
Yeah.
To prove to him that he is basically less than a man.
Right.
But yet on the other hand, let's take another side. God prepared everything for him.
Right.
And then he was created to last.
Yes, so that's right, if he's righteous. That's the way we look at it if he's righteous.
He prepared the whole world.
That's right.
Food, he made the apartment,
absolutely,
the house, and then he placed it in.
Right, you come into a furnished apartment, right? Everything is furnished, everything's ready for you. Just come in and enjoy, right? Exactly. That's exactly the point. So there's two ways to look at it, right? Your way and this way. So they're both true. It just depends on what you are and who you are, right? And by the way, it's the same idea. They say the Chazal that a person, who has to work very hard in his life, he has no time. For prayers. He has no time for learning Torah. He has no time for mitzvot, to do things like this. Why is that? Because he doesn't have the merit. He's not doing his deeds properly. He needs In other words, he doesn't have the merit to be spiritual because of his deeds. So you see also from there the same idea that when a person doesn't have the merit, he doesn't have the righteous, he doesn't have the proper deeds, proper preparation. So the Baruch Hu says, you know what, go work like like the animals do. Go work.
I have too much merit.
You know?
Can I get a cup of coffee?
No problem. Take your
Can
time.
I get you anything?
No, I'm fine.
Unfortunately, there are no cups. Jeez, man.
So one of our viewers over here asked a good question. He's asking, right? Is this why Chava sinned first, right? So the answer is yes. Meaning, what he wants to say that we said that the woman is closer to Yetzer Hara. So that's really the reason why Chava sinned first, because the snake knew that she's easier to convince to sin. And this is why the snake went into Chava.
Yeah.
Right? He knew that she's going to be much easier, because it's much easier to seduce them and to entice them, because they're closer to the Yetzer Hara. So therefore, that's why he went to them.
So
This is the reason. Right, exactly. He knew what he was doing. He was very, very clever.
Okay, no coffee.
Why? There's no hot water?
No cups.
No cups. Oh.
Okay, no big deal.
Next time. Okay. So anyway, getting back to what we're saying. Now, you want to talk a little bit about the sin of the man, right? What happened with the sin?
Exactly. Right here. The next pasuk is this.
Right.
Thus the heaven and the earth were finished.
Yes.
In all their way. Array.
Right.
So he made everything. He furnished the apartment for God, for a man and a woman.
Yes.
Now let's talk about the sin.
Right. So this is a very important topic, very, very interesting topic, very fascinating. So what was the whole point that we said, as we mentioned before, that when HaKadosh Baruch Hu created the world, really, the whole point was the tikkun of the world, the rectification, to fix. So in order to fix, really, there had to be a sin, So this was really a part of the master plan, according to the Kubbalim, according to the Kabbalah. This was necessary for the world, the sin. Because otherwise, what's the reason why it was necessary? Because if HaKadosh Baruch Hu would just create the world, and it would be only God Eden, and everything would be doing good over there, and singing and dancing, and having a good time. So we didn't earn that. So HaKadosh Baruch Hu wanted us to earn our good. He wanted us to have that merit of earning it. How do you earn it? In order there should be a tzahara, in order there should be a tikkun. So if you have to make a tikkun, there must be also a sin. So the sin was like a necessary thing. So that's why HaKadosh Baruch Hu made sure to see, right, even though it's not really associated with him, right? HaKadosh Baruch Hu doesn't associate himself with the evil side. He lets that function as as sort of a independent entity. It's not really independent. It works, it works on his command, but it's like not associated with God, That's like the dark side. So therefore, what he did was he made the Yetzer Hara, he brought the Satan, right? Satan is an angel. That's what he is, just like all the other angels. And the Satan, I'm sorry?
Is he the Nachash?
So it says the Zohar that the Nachash is not the Satan, but what happened was that they joined up forces.
So Satan was created separate.
Right. Satan is a spiritual being, he's an angel, right? But when HaKadosh Baruch Hu looked in the world to mate up the Satan with some kind of entity, the best mate that he found for him was a snake. What's the reason? So say the Chazal that the Satan was Apikoros. You know what that means? A kofir, a denier. A person who doesn't want to believe in the true way. Wants to be a denier. Wants to be
Deny what?
Deny the providence and existence of God the way it's supposed to be, believed. Just like all the sinners do.
He was created by God.
Right, but he was against, you understand? In other words, there are people who are created, but also want to go against the Rashaim. That's the way they are.
It's a totally different thing. It's a controversy because people are not created. People are born.
Right, but the original man was created,
Okay,
right?
but if you believe in Darwin's theory, you are not created. You are born.
Right.
Evolution.
Yes.
But here the Satan was created.
Yes, he was created.
So how could he do that?
Because he had a bad nature. You understand? There are people who have a bad nature. He was apikoros. Apikoros means denier, right? Person who heretic.
Okay, fine. Because I believe in Darwinism.
Right.
I was not created. I was born.
Yeah.
Evolution. We came from a monkey.
Yes.
Beautiful. But Satan cannot say that he came from a monkey.
Right, he wasn't trying to say that. But he was trying to make up other stories, right? What was the story he was trying to say? Okay, what happened was that the Satan, say the Chazal, that he was the perfect mate for the Satan. So therefore the Satan used him as a ploy, right? As a puppet to do his will. Right, exactly. Okay. He teamed up with the Nachash, he joined up with him. And by the way, this is what the Chazal say, right, in the Talmud. It says in Baba Kama, Tzadik Bet over there, 92, it says over there that usually what happens is in this world, that people team up with their likes, the ones who's similar to them, as a partner or as a spouse or whatever it is, right? Whatever it is in life, usually people team up with their own kind. So they say, right, if you want to see who a person is, go look at his friends. Absolutely. Go see what they are and use the same material. Yeah. That's the way it is. So this is why the Satan had to pair up with the Nachash, because the Nachash was a Rasha. The Satan is also a Rasha. So they paired up together in order to do their job. You understand? So HaKadosh Baruch Hu created also this. He created this scenario, the Yetzer Hara, which is, the Yetzer Hara is, what is it coming to really to do in this world? It's coming to deny the providence of God. It's coming to deny that. To make it look to you like there is no God. There is no providence. Like God's hand is not there. You know, it's all free. It's all, it's all, whatever you want to do. It's all chofshi. It's all hefker. That's not the way it is, but he wants to make it look like that. So he wants to put up that facade, that there is no providence and you won't get punished. It'll be okay, just do whatever you want. Be free. Be a free person, it's a free country.
Created.
Well, the angels were also created on the first week, just like the human, the creation. They were all created in the first week. Everything was created. The angels, the demons, all these things.
Prior to the creation of the earth, there were no angels?
Right. Yeah, they were created together. But as you know, right, that the angels were created before the human. Why? Because it says, right, Naseh Adam. So meaning what? There was also already angels there.
Before the human or before the earth?
Before the humans.
Fine. Yeah. So first so God was all alone before creation?
Right, he was all alone, yes, he was all alone. And now he made, right, his own court over there, upstairs, right, over there.
He was born angels, and he created angels.
Right, exactly. He was alone, yeah, he's one. He was one, he was the only one, and then he created this world, right, as we see it, as we know it. So what happens is that the Kadosh Baruch Hu says that, he wants, as we said, right, the Yetzer Hara wants to come in here, into the picture. So the Satan now says the Zohar something amazing, right? The Arizal says this actually. The Arizal says that the whole goal of the Satan here was to get the Yetzer Hara to become stronger in the world. Okay. Meaning what? When HaKadosh Baruch Hu created the world, the Yetzer Hara was not so strong. What does that mean? That means that the Yetzer Hara was not able to go inside the person's mind and, his heart. Wasn't able to penetrate into that. Didn't have permission to do that. So that means that when a person, does sins today, right? Person, the Yetzer Hara is like beating your head day and night, 24 hours a day, Go do this, go do that, go do this, what about that, what about this? You're thinking about all the time doing sins. Why is that? Because the Yetzer Hara is beating on you all the time. It's able to get into your head and bring you thoughts there. With the imagination. The imagination runs wild, and it tells you to do this and to do that and all these things. You're thinking about these things, the imagination is there. How did this happen that the Yetzer Hara got into us like that? So how did it happen? Because the Satan had a plan. What was the plan? The plan was that if I get the man to sin, one sin, then I have permission to get in. But before the sin, Satan did not have permission to get into the mind of the human being. So therefore, that's why he needed a snake. He needed somebody to do his job from the outside, in order to convince the human that to do the sin. So he took this guy, became his partner. He became his worker. And he told him, listen, do like this, do like this, do like this. So the snake was very happy because he was also the same character as the Satan. Same character. So what happened was he comes and he knows that the only way to get the Yetzer Hara to go in the person is to get him to sin. And once the person did the sin, now the Yetzer Hara is inside. That's what the Arizal says. What does that mean? Now, Satan doesn't need somebody from the outside to do his bidding. He's got you from the inside. He can give you the thoughts in your head, the imagination, pictures, videos, right? iPhones, everything. It's all there, right? He's got the whole system down, right? And as time goes along, it gets worse and worse, as you see, right? That before, it's the weirdest things like this. That beforehand, the safest person that person could be, safest place the person could be from Satan was at home, because at home, it's all quiet. There's nothing there. Nobody's bothering you. There's no bad people there. It's all your family. But now today, Satan is also in the house. You have the TV, you have the internet, you have all these things. So Satan is right there. You want to just press a few buttons, and you're right there. Very accessible. You know what I mean? So now he penetrated also into our house. It's little by little, as the time goes on, says the Arizal, the Yetzer Hara, until Mashiach will come, is getting stronger all the time. Right? So that means he has more permission to do more things. Now the Satan is in our pocket, it's in the house, it's everywhere. Big screen, small screen, everything. It's all there. So that's the way it is today. Satan has now a great deal of power. Why is that? Because the first sin, that's where it started there. Because before that, Satan didn't have power to go inside the man. So he seduced him from the outside. So what happened? The famous story is like this, right? Satan, why, what we're saying over here right now, that he was a partner of the Satan, the snake, that's spiritual, but like, in other words, according to the earthly, story, what happened, just a down-to-earth story. Yeah, what occurred? So what occurred, so they say the Chazal, is that, the snake saw the man and woman, making love together, excuse the expression. So he saw them making love. Making love, and because of that, he got jealous. He said, "Wow, this lady, she's really beautiful. It's better than my wife."
You have a wife, or he didn't have a wife?
By the way, I thought about what you said, the first week that we learned. So it must be lichora that he did have a wife. You know why? Because today we have male and female snakes. So if that's the case, it must be that he created that way. Because nothing new was created after that.
No problem.
So it must be,
How many snakes did God create? How many nachash was there?
Male and female, just like everything else.
How many nachash? One type?
Yeah.
One species?
Right, then all the other ones came out of that, right. They all came out of that.
Why? If it was one nachash, he was supposed to be crawling, and they were supposed to be on one side.
You know what it is? We also have, like with human beings, we have black, we have yellow, we have white, we have red, all, every person has a different characteristic. So when it comes with time, there's all kinds of evolutions that take place,
We'll get to the nachash, right. And according to the Rashi.
Okay, very good. So, no problem. So anyway, what we're saying is like this. It comes a nachash, and he sees, this beautiful woman, and this, guy's, he's the luckiest guy in the world. And this guy's jealous. So he says, "Wow, man, I got to get this girl. I have to have a girlfriend on the side." So he says, "Yeah, good idea." So he says, "What do I do? How do I do it? This guy is going to beat me up if I go and try to take his wife. He's going to kill me. So what am I going to do?" So says the Satan, very easy. I'll make a scheme to kill the guy. So this is why he wanted to eat the fruit. He knew that the fruit was going to kill them. He heard HaKadosh Baruch Hu that said that the day you eat that fruit, you're going to die. So therefore, he wanted to convince them to eat in order that he should die and take his wife. That's what he wanted to do.
But if they're going to both eat, they're going to both die.
Very good question. So what's the answer? You have an answer? I'll try to help you. The answer is that when HaKadosh Baruch Hu said to the man, right? He only said to the man, right? Exactly. So he probably thought that he didn't mean the woman. You understand? That it was a mistake because he did mean the woman. But anyway, he probably thought that it was that way. So he went and tried to steal his wife. That's what he tried to do. I already had them. I had a good chair, Baruch Hashem. Okay. I left you some, Baruch Hashem.
Thank you very much.
I didn't take everything.
Very kind of you.
So, what we're saying is that the Nachash comes and tries to devise a scheme. So what does he do? He comes to the woman, right, and says, "Listen, what's the story? What did God tell you about this? About this tree over here? What's the story? What are you allowed to eat? What you're not allowed to eat? Tell me what's the story." There was a few. There was the Garden of Eden was full of trees.
Full of trees,
right?
Yeah.
But there was two special trees there, right? As you said, right? Yeah.
Two separate
special ones, right? It was full of trees over there.
Yeah,
so there was the tree of life and the tree of knowledge. Those were the two, right? Etzadat v'etzachayim. So what happened was that comes a Nachash and tries to mix a conversation with him. You know how it is, right? When a person wants to seduce a lady, he starts with like a simple, innocent conversation. How are you? How are you doing? How's your children? This. How's the weather? What kind of cigarettes you smoke? What kind all these things. These questions. You know what he really wants, right? But he starts out with these innocent questions. Oh. So he comes to the woman and says, tell me, what's the story? What did God tell you? Which tree are you allowed to eat? Which you're not allowed to eat? Tell me, what's it? So she comes and tells him, listen, this etzadat, over here, the tree of knowledge, that's the one we're not allowed to eat. And HaKadosh Baruch Hu said, that the day that you touch this tree, you'll die. So Nachash, he saw over here an opening to seduce her. Why is that? Because there was a mistake over here that was made. Right, the mistake was that Adam HaRishon, when he told his wife, don't eat from this tree, he also told her, don't touch it.
said that?
Yeah. Okay. So why did he do that? Because he wanted to do like a safeguard. You understand? Like, you know, in the Torah we call this chumrah. You know, it's chumrah, like a stringency. You know, like even though the Torah says only this, we add you another string, you know, to safeguard you, right? So this is what many times the Chazal do. This rabbis, you know, they put all kinds of safeguards on the Torah, and they're allowed to do it. You know, they're supposed to do it. But what happened was, Adam Rishon told his wife, "Listen, don't eat the tree and don't touch it either." So she thought that not touching it was also a command from God. He didn't know that this was a decree that Adam Rishon added from his own knowledge, from his own understanding. So what happened was that the Satan now figured out a way to get her. Why? So he said, listen, what did you say that what if you touch this tree, you're going to die? So you know what he did? He says, I'm going to prove to you now that it's not true. So he pushed her into the tree. Right? He says, you see, nothing happened. It's all fake. So also for eating from it will not do anything. That's what he told her. Yeah. So he got her over there, in a sense. So he started to convince her like that. So now, from here, the Chazal learned something amazing. They say, right, that a person shouldn't add to the Torah anything, In other words, if the Torah tells you not to do this, don't try to add to that and say, also I cannot do something else. Something more than that. Because if you do, right, al tosif pen tigra, right, if you add, you're actually subtracting from the Torah. So, meaning what? On the one hand, the Chazal, the rabbis, are commanded to make fences around the Torah, to make safeguards. That's their commandment. They're supposed to do that. But we, as individuals, don't need to get involved with this kind of stuff. And also you have to know when it's allowed to do it, when it's not allowed to do it. And a person has to be a big chacham to do these kinds of things. So what happens is that everybody tries to be like a big chacham, a big tzaddik, and try to add all kinds of things which were not there. And when a person does that, sometimes instead of adding to the Torah, he's actually subtracting from the Torah. What does that mean? That because of this addition that he made to his wife of telling her not to touch it, this is what caused her to eat it. Understand? So we see from here that adding to the Torah is sometimes a very bad thing. It can cause you a big stumbling. So that's why, right, it says Shlomo Melech, Al tiyeh tzaddik arbeh. Don't be too much of a tzaddik. Don't be a big tzaddik. Be just a nice tzaddik, a normal tzaddik. Don't add to the Torah things which are not there. And if you do, you can get into big trouble. It causes you to sin. This is exactly what the Chazal said, right? Also in the Pirkei Avot. It says in Pirkei Avot, Ethics of the Fathers, it says, right, En Am Haaretz Chasid. What does that mean? That the person who's Am Haaretz, who's ignorant in Torah, he cannot be a Hasid. What does it mean, Hasid? To do more than the Torah says. Right? Why? Because if you do, you wind up doing less. Because you don't know how to add to the Torah. A person to add to the Torah has to be very wise. He has to understand, right, like it says in the Pirkei Avot, Chacham einav berosho. What does that mean? The rabbi, Chacham, he sees one thing, what is going to lead to another. He sees, right, the forecast, right, he sees the outcome. So if a person who can do that, he sees the outcome of his deeds, so then he can do additional things in the Torah. But if he doesn't have that wisdom, he's not so smart, he doesn't know one thing will lead to another, so he should not add anything. Just do plainly what the Torah says. Don't do more than that, because you're going to get into trouble like that. This has many examples, by the way, this idea. For example, sometimes a person will say, let's give a good example for that. A person will say, I will never, I won't, the best example, right? Like we can say from the best example that we can bring is from the story of Ishai, right? Who was the father of David HaMelech. So what happened was that he wanted to be separate from his wife. I told you the story, right? I think I told you. So he wanted to separate from his wife. He wanted to be like Moshe Rabbeinu. He wanted to be very holy. So he separated from his wife. He divorced her, and he wanted to just sit and learn Torah all day and be holy. And he said, I don't need a wife. I'll be like Moshe Rabbeinu. So what happened was, in the end, because of that, he wasn't on the level to do that. So because of that, he became attracted to his maidservant, and he wanted to go and have an affair with her. So because he wasn't with his wife, he wound up trying to get and have an affair with his maidservant. So you see from there that when a person tries to be too much, which is something which is above him, sometimes it can cause him to do something which is way below him. It's just the opposite, right? So a person has to be careful about that. So therefore, the Chazal say, right, Al tiyeh tzaddik arbeh. Don't be too much. Just do what the Torah says. Don't add things which don't need to be added. Whatever the sages added, you have to do. That's something else. But if they didn't add, you don't have to add things of your own. It's too much, going too far. So the Chazal say that now the snake got her like that, and then, right, she looked at the fruit, she took a look at it, and she saw that it was really nice, delicious, juicy, nice, pleasant. And she also saw the spiritual qualities of the food that's going to give her wisdom and knowledge and all these things. And it's true, by the way, right? Once a person eats it from the tree of knowledge, even though it also brings in the Yetzer Hara, this thing, but it also brings him, teaches him, right? Exactly. There's a wisdom that also you get from it. So therefore, right? She saw that it was something desirable, and she ate it, right? And then what happened was, once she ate it, she realized the mistake that she made. That now she's going to die. So now, her scheme was, she also made a scheme. The scheme was not to get her husband to eat it. Why? Because she said, if I'm going to die, he's not going to live. He's also going to die with me. He's going to go with me. Wherever I go, he'll go. Right? So this was like not a nice thing to do. But, that was her nature, She didn't want that her husband should go without her. To live without her. So therefore now she devised a scheme to feed him also. So, she tried to do all kinds of tricks to feed him. She got him to eat. So they both ate. And that was the end of the story there. Understand? So should we stop here or should we go on? Some more time?
Up to you.
Let's go on a little bit.
Okay.
So, now, comes HaKadosh Baruch Hu, after the food was eaten, and comes to Adam. And asks him, first of all, he comes and looking for him, right? Okay, where are you? So Adam HaRishon, right, when he saw Kadosh Baruch Hu, he ran away. Why? Because he was embarrassed. Why was he embarrassed? Because he was naked, right? So what happened over here now? What happened was that the Yetzer Hara came into them. And before the Yetzer Hara came into them, being naked was nothing wrong. But now that the Yetzer Hara came in, so they were embarrassed to be naked. They knew the connotation that has. Before the Yetzer Hara came into them, they didn't know, they were innocent, like two little children, just running around. They don't know, like children don't mind being naked, because they don't know what it means. Yeah. So they were also like that, the same thing. So they came, Kadosh Baruch Hu came, and he went to hide from Kadosh Baruch Hu. So Kadosh Baruch Hu comes to the man, and tells him, listen, Ayeka, where are you? Where did you go? Where are you hiding? So he says, I'm sorry, but I was naked, so I got embarrassed, and I ran away because I didn't want you to see me naked. It's not nice. So I told him, how do you know what it means to be naked, all these things? You must have eaten from the fruit, huh? So he says, yeah, you're right, so it was the woman who got me, she's the one who convinced me to eat the fruit. So this was considered to be a very big sin, right? They say the Chazal. The Mekubalim say that when he complained about his wife, this was a very big sin. Why is that? It's like Kadosh Baruch Hu tells them, listen, I gave this wife to you as a present. I cut her out of your body. I made her beautiful. I styled her hair. It says it did her hair and everything, right? When he came to get married with her, she brought him. Kadosh Baruch Hu brought her, with, all dressed up and with her hair and everything made up and beautiful. That's the way it was. Real nice wedding. Nice wedding.
Dressed up in what? They were naked.
You're right. I'm saying, adorned. Adorned. You're right. It wasn't clothing. So comes and now comes and complains. So I gave you this beautiful woman, and you're complaining about her. So say the Chazal that this complaint that he made him into a kofer. What does that mean? He's a denier. He doesn't admit the good of God. Just the opposite, right? He's complaining about what Kadosh Baruch Hu did for him.
Instead of saying the God for it.
Right, exactly. It's your fault. You brought me this woman. She's a troublemaker. She got me into trouble. That's what he says. So say the Chazal that this sin was considered to be like Avodah Zarah. In the Zohar it says that. What does that mean? Why Avodah Zarah? Because what is an Avodah Zarah? Avodah Zarah means that a person, pretty much more or less, we know that there's God, right? But we're not so satisfied with what He gives us. So we want to worship other deities, other gods, in order that maybe we should get more, more money or more benefits or whatever, more, more wealth, whatever it is. So we want to get all from all sources, from this source, from this God, God A, God B, God B, God C, God D. So I want to take from everybody. So I worship every God in order to take all the benefits that I can get. Okay. Right. So this was the same thing with Adam HaRishon. Adam HaRishon was saying, listen, what you gave me is not enough, it's like something's wrong over here. It seems like I got the wrong deal, Let's do exchange policy, Can you return, give me another one? So this is like, my God, like what, you don't believe that God gave you the thing that you really need? You think that what He gave you something that is a wrong thing, it's a wrong fit? How can it be such a thing? So you're a denier. So a person who's a denier is really considered to be a kafir, which is apikoros, right, a heretic, and he's like an idol worshipper. So they say the Chazal that this was the idolatry of Adam HaRishon. This is how he committed idolatry. He never believed in another God, He wasn't that low. But this, on his level, this was considered to be like idolatry. So therefore, that which we read in this week's parsha, let me see if I can get a charger here to go. It's time. Let's see if it reaches. If not, we'll stop here. Okay. I think there's something over here. Yeah, there is. Okay, let's see if it reaches. Okay. Let's see if we can put it somewhere here.